In this video, we are going to experimentally test the validity of the work energy theorem and check whether the quantity that we defined as kinetic energy is meaningful or not. The experimental setup consists of a glider moving on an inclined air track with negligible friction, a motion detector that can record the position of the glider as a function of time, and a computer that allows us to analyze the collected data. Let us start by analyzing the problem with a free body diagram of the glider. As for any problem that involves an incline, it is a good idea to choose our x-axis parallel to the incline. The positive direction is chosen to point away from the detector. The y-axis is of course perpendicular to the x-axis, pointing up. We call theta the angle that the incline makes with the horizontal. Since friction is negligible, there are only two forces acting on the glider: its weight, vertical downward, and the normal force exerted by the air cushion, perpendicular to the air track and upward. From basic geometric considerations, it follows that the angle between the weight vector and the y-axis is the same as the angle between the track and the x-axis. The glider obviously cannot sink through the air track, neither can it take off on its own. Thus, there is no acceleration along the y direction. It should be clear that the acceleration will be parallel to the x-axis in the negative direction. Using this angle, we can replace the weight vector by its x and y components. From trigonometry, we find that the x component of the weight is negative mg sine theta and the y component is negative mg cosine theta. We can now apply Newton's second law. In the x direction, the only force is the x component of the weight, which is therefore equal to the glider's mass times the acceleration, so that the acceleration is equal to negative g sine theta. Since there is no acceleration along the y direction, the normal force must cancel the y component of the weight, so we find that the normal force is equal to mg cosine theta. The important result here is the acceleration, from which we conclude that the net force is equal to negative mg sine theta. Since the mass m, the acceleration due to gravity g, and the angle theta are constant, we conclude that the net force itself is constant. In particular, it doesn't depend on the position of the glider along the track, neither does it depend on its velocity. Let us calculate now the work done by the net force. For this, we start from the general definition of the work done by a force as the integral of the force from some initial point I to some final point F. Now, if the force is in the direction of the displacement and is constant, which is the case for our net force, then the work done is just equal to the product of the force and the displacement. Substituting our previous expression for the net force, we find that the corresponding work is equal to mg sine theta times the initial position xi minus the final position xf. The reason why the initial and final positions have been exchanged in this last expression is because we have a negative sign in this expression of the net force. Alright, so we have an expression for the work done by the net force, but now let's calculate it in another way. We start again from the general definition of work, which we apply to the net force, but this time we substitute Newton's second law for the net force. We find that this work is the integral of the dot product of ma with the infinitesimal displacement dr. Since the mass is constant, it can be moved out of the integral. Also, we can use the fact that the acceleration is the time derivative of the velocity, and the infinitesimal displacement dr is the velocity times the infinitesimal time dt. Next, we can use the fact that the dot product of the time derivative of the velocity with the velocity is equal to 1/2 of the time derivative of the speed squared. And finally, we can use the fundamental theorem of calculus to replace the integral of the derivative of a function by the change of the function. So we end up finding that the work done by the net force is equal to 1/2 of mvf squared minus 1/2 of mvi squared. As a result, if we define the kinetic energy to be 1/2 of mv squared, then we have proven the work energy principle, which states that the work done by the net force is equal to the change in kinetic energy. So let us apply the principle to our particular case. We found earlier that the work done by the net force was given by mg sine theta times initial position minus final position. And the principle says this must be equal to the change in kinetic energy. This allows us to predict the value of the final velocity if we know the initial velocity and the change in position. So, we are going to experimentally test this prediction. Here is the air track, which is currently level, and here is the motion detector and the computer that will record the data. Let me put the glider on it and see how it moves almost frictionless. Its velocity is nearly constant according to Newton's first law. Let us measure its mass, although we won't need it since we saw that the acceleration and the final velocity do not depend on it. 391.9 grams. Let me put the camera on the stand. Alright. We should check that the track is level. It should be since I didn't touch it since my last experiment. Yes, it does not accelerate, so the track is level. But now, I'm going to insert a spacer under one of the feet. This results in some angle that we are going to estimate, and this angle is enough to give the glider a substantial acceleration. Alright, to determine the angle, let us check first the distance between the feet. There is a foot that is on the 50 centimeter mark, and the other is on the 150 centimeter mark. So the distance between the feet is 1 meter. Now let us measure the size of the spacer, and for this I'm going to use a precision caliper. Let's see. I'm trying not to knock off the camera. Let me try to focus. There is 15.43 millimeters. So let's pause here and determine the angle of the incline. We know that the distance between the track's feet is 1 meter or 1000 millimeters, and the spacer we added is 15.43 millimeters. So we can calculate the angle to be 0.8840 degrees. Also, this leads to an acceleration of negative 0.1512 meters per second squared. Alright, so let us do the actual experiment, and it is going to be extremely fast. All we have to do is to set up the computer to record the motion, and give the glider some initial push away from the detector. Done. Now let us analyze the collected data. The top graph shows the position versus time, and the lower graph is the velocity versus time. Let us change the scale of the velocity graph. Alright, the velocity is noisier than the position, which is normal since the detector actually measures only the position and the velocity is determined by performing a numerical derivative of the position, which is an operation that always amplifies the noise. But still, the data are good enough for our purposes. The first thing we can do is a linear fit of the velocity in order to obtain the slope, which is the experimental value of the acceleration. Negative 0.1466 meters per second squared. Remember, our prediction was negative 0.1512 meters per second squared, so we have a percent difference of 3.1%, which isn't bad. The experimental value has a magnitude that is smaller, and this is not surprising since we neglected the air drag. Alright, so let us choose a random initial point, for example the one at time 0.20 seconds. So, we take the initial position to be 0.597 meters, and the corresponding initial speed is 0.331 meters per second. So, if we take the final position to be 0.792 meters, we find that the corresponding final speed is 0.226 meters per second, while our formula predicts a final speed of 0.225 meters per second. Thus, the percent difference is only 0.44%, which is excellent. Let us take another final position of 0.878 meters. The experimental final speed is 0.158 meters per second, and our formula predicts a speed of 0.157 meters per second. The percent difference is 0.64%, which again is really good. Now let us take another final point close to the point where the glider changes direction. For example, 0.958 meters. The experimental speed is 0.024 meters per second in the negative direction, and for this point we can't expect the prediction to be as good because since the speed is almost zero close to that point, we have a loss in numerical precision. Our formula predicts a value of 0.20 meters per second, so the percent difference goes up to 18%. But we recover an excellent agreement when we move away from that point. For example, at 0.486 meters, for which the experimental speed is 0.378 meters per second in the negative direction. This is the exact same value as the prediction, so we have a perfect agreement here. To conclude, this experiment supports the validity of the work energy principle as well as the meaningfulness of the concept of kinetic energy.